So, no, do. All right. Yeah, man. We're there with you again, you know. Believe you me. Jamaica busy. Jamaica busy, especially Kingston, man. We keep saying it, you know. There's not a lack of things to do. And we talk about from Sunday to Sunday. And you have a next day? Yes. Things are going on in Kingston. Enough. You know, we want to yell up all the people who set up and listen to it every Wednesday night. Give thanks for that. For 27 years. We give thanks for that too. This month, at 27 years since we sit down here, so. You know, them really, and the program no drop. It no drop. You know, we say YouTube 10 million log on pan all of the program. Them 10 million people from all over the world. We give thanks for that. So this weekend is a weekend where we'll heap of ones are wait for. People come from foreign, enough people there in Jamaica come for go to National Stadium for see Buju Banton. We also the place pack already and the gate them not open yet. No tickets will be sold at the gate. We'll heap of regulations for that one, yeah. Believe you me. You know, the stadium hold 30,000 people. That's where the stadium hold, 30,000 people. But they might talk about sitting in a grandstand and bleachers. They might talk about how they feel, how much people can hold on the field. There's enough people can hold on the field. I don't know, that feeling is normal again after Saturday, you know, that feeling is normal again. You understand? I hear to the grandstand ticket, them gone. How much thousand them say can hold in a grandstand? Must say 5,000 in a grandstand. Not to mention on the field. Believe you me. So, big things, big things. Everybody are wait for hear and see where the Gargamel go say. And you say the rehearsal them is heavy. Meanwhile, with all of that we are going now, we'll go across the road over in South America, Venezuela, and the intended coup against a sovereign country by none other than America again. Trumped up coup. Them trumping up some things, especially the shortage of food. And you know them have a formula for do these things. Yeah, America have a formula for do these things. In every country, them spread the propaganda. Say first of all, them start to say the leader is a dictator, which most of them is. But not really wrong if he's a dictator still. Because really and truly you have democratic country where the leader go on worse than dictator. And not only that, you have leaders in a democratic country where people despise, like the one now in America. So dictator don't make you a bad man automatically. But that's the first thing them do. Them start to talk about your dictator and them want a legitimate democratic government. That is where them start with. And then after them start to do that, now you see them start to know, them try assassinate you, which them start to do that, the president already. Them try a thing with a drone, and it never work. And then you see them start to do now, food shortage. It's a formula them use, food shortage. You see that in Jamaica already. Yeah, you see that happen in Jamaica already, where you couldn't go in a supermarket and see nothing on the shelf, them and them start. So the more the people them don't see food, is the more them cost the government in power. So them start the food shortage thing, and then them start now some squibbling with the people them, start to incite certain things and incite things, people against people. And this is no different in Venezuela right now. If you watch the mainstream radio, if you watch the mainstream TV and listen to the mainstream radio, them, it's amazing the things them I say. It's amazing. And then when you look on the reality of the situation, like CNN I talk about how food charge and thing, and you have an underground news. Them actually put a man in a supermarket and couple man in a supermarket be sure you say, oh, them say the food shortage and everything we get in America, I'm getting at the supermarket. You know, them have a border between Colombia and Venezuela there where they must send food. The American, they must send food because them always have the food for send. For boost up for them way and make the people them feel good for bringing America here, the more invitation for America to come in and overthrow a legitimate government. We hear how America go on when them say Russian involvement in a them election. You can never believe, say, the same country where ball out about people involvement in a them election like Russia is the same country now we are involved in a people country where the government was legitimately voting and was sanctioned by CARICOM leaders who send representatives there to oversee the election. When them come back and tell you, say, it was a fair election. CARICOM leaders, people go down there during the election. But when I forget, say, it's these same people that I try to get rid of Chavez. They was getting rid of Chavez and it never worked until later on. But the country was really prospering. Now, them actually come out and say, it would be wonderful if some of the American oil companies them could get the oil in Venezuela. Them now hide that again. Them now hide that again like how them try hide the Iraq thing, like how them try hide the Afghanistan thing, like how them try hide the Libya thing. Them now hide the thing and I tell you up front, say what you know, the oil we are going for. Venezuela have the biggest oil reserve in the world. And people say, but how them have so much oil and them so poor? It's not poor, it's America have sanctions against them, just like how them did have sanctions against Cuba for 40 years. And them try to kill Castro for 40 times, them try to kill Castro and it never work. So when we look on the news, where these people send in your psyche, you almost feel like say some devil run them country there. Nothing looking upon who are run America. I see them gather people for come on them side and, you know, the people them who can control media and control the minds of the people continuously. Wow, it's terrible how them do that. Because you can't talk to certain people. When I say certain people, you can't talk to certain people who politically inclined to tell them, say, look here, what is happening in Venezuela now is a trumped up. It's not real. It's not real. It is designed to start a coup and install a puppet that is American puppet. And that's what them do. If you can show me any country in the world where America invade, and after America invade is a good, better country. And the person them install is a better person than the person that was there. Show me one country. Show me one country where America invade. And when them done invade it, the people them is better off. Look how long them try to get rid of Castro. And who get asylum in Florida, the Cuban them who get asylum in Florida, you would have believed that them represent Cuba at its totality. You would have believed that them represent Cuba at its totality. And the person them who can control media and control the minds of the people continuously. Wow, it's terrible how them do that. Because you can't talk to certain people. if you look on them people, you don't never know see you have black people in Cuba. Black people, I say black people, I talk about like how Jamaican black people black. The majority of Cuban is black people, African, in them identity. But when you hear all them talk about Cuba, you'd have said, no, sir. We grew up for beliefs that Castro is a devil. We grew up in a Jamaica for beliefs that Castro is a devil. Yet still, there's no illiteracy in Cuba. Them health service is much 1,000% better than America. Them health service. The doctors them and the nurse them in a Cuba 100% better than America. And as an island, they were able to go into Africa with them army to resolve whole heap of the issues them with in Africa. Mozambique, Angola, and South Africa and these places. Cuba was sending a little island 90 miles off of the coast and the grill so. Was sending armies. But when America tell you about Castro, devil, not to mention Gaddafi, look on Libya right now. When Clinton and them conspire to get rid of, as a matter of fact, I'm telling them them terribly, you know. The little brother they don't have, what name? The brother they where Trump did a cuss the other day from down Florida there. Little short brother there. Him actually put up a picture of Gaddafi being sodomized with not man sodomize him with man, but objects are sodomized and kill him. And I said, this is the fate of the present Venezuelan Prime Minister. Yes, big politician, Republican politician do that. Where we get is from America, continuously flowing from America. Gaddafi is a devil in the eyes of America because that is how them sell it. Yet still we know and we understand, say, the people them in a Gaddafi have certain privileges where America don't have. The people them in America don't pay light bill. Them gas is couple cent, not dollars, couple cent. When them go at the pump. The amount of PhDs will come out of Libya under Gaddafi. And when them decide, say, he must link Africa with the gold as opposed to with the dollar, that is when it become now like a problem. It was a problem all the while. We now gonna make them vilify people and then make we now go against them people there. You know them have a saying, say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And really and truly, if you look upon the people them where America put in, remember they had the Shah of Iran, remember El Salvador, Nicaragua, Chile, all them places, Jamaica, all them places that was touched by America imperialism. And them survive without America. Look at Iraq. You are the biggest lie that ever been told. Look at Iraq. How can we forget Iraq out of the psyche when America put it up on the screen and have a black man. As a matter of fact, him is Jamaican too. Well, not really, but yeah, him have Jamaican blood in him. Them have him, Colin Powell, I show you the movement of the weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein have. And them a move it by truck and I carry it this one, I put it this one, and them something there. And them go into the country and blow up the whole place and mash it up. Ancient Iraq, most of the things them were in the Old Testament, from the beginning of the Bible. Most of the places geographically is in Iraq. Them used to call it Mesopotamia in those days. Babylon. Now Babylon is demonized by people who is very Judeo-Christian minded. Babylon is demonized. Because even Rasta fall in that category where anytime you say Babylon, you talk about somewhere wicked. But Babylon, the wickedness of Babylon is in the eyes of Jewish thinking, Jewish mindset. So those who take that Jewish mindset into a religious perspective speak of Babylon as a wicked place because the Babylonians, them, supposed to they despise the Jews. At times, Rasta come out of that thinking, but it not going to come out because years it there. Well, I want if things can come out still, because the man say Babylon, he might talk about a wicked place. But Iraq it there. Or at the Chaldees, another place. Most people hear about Ur through Abraham, the father of Israelite, the Jews, and father of the Arabs. Them say Ur. Ur and Abraham came out of the Ur of the Chaldees. And him come into a land that them say God give him, go in and inhabit the land, flowing with milk and honey. So right away you see the invaders coming at the land already. Or is in Iraq. Then you have the Euphrates River. 4 rivers run it out of the Garden of Eden, encompass the garden. And one of them is Gishan, where them say encompass the whole land of Ethiopia. And them the Euphrates is Iraq that. And the man them go in Iraq and march down the whole place, devastate it and kill the leaders. And it's them did arm him to fight against Iran. Them was arming him to fight against Iran. Up to now, them still have Iran on the table as one of the terrorist countries that feed terrorism. How can we believe these people when them have a list? Them have a list of things what them do in the earth here where devastate people land and cause death and destruction when them leave. But people fight against one another. People who never used to fight against each other start to fight against one another because of them supposedly trying to bring democracy to a people that is not inclined to be democratic. Because them history and them legacy never imprinted with a Roman ideology of how to govern people. Because democracy come out of Rome. Just like the concept of Christianity is Rome it come out of. When the Romans them invade so-called Jerusalem, the Romans invaded after the Greeks and the Greco-Roman ideas and the Greco-Roman concepts of what we now consider to be right and wrong was imprinted there. And we take it as our own and convince ourselves that this is the only way to go. in the name of democracy and in the name of Jesus. And when we look on the countries them that practice democracy, and the countries them, the people them that give us Christianity, these things have caused more devastation upon the earth than any other ideology that you can find. Any other ideology. Not to mention what Christianity do with our parents. But after 400 years, them think we're all dead and gone, but we're not there. We are the ones we have been waiting for. I am my ancestor. My ancestor is I. So them can't get rid of I. So you kill I today, you can't kill I tomorrow. You kill I today, you can't kill I tomorrow. So we're there until, and we'll see and we understand. Can you imagine if what we know now, we knew it then? Oh, what a reversal things would be. Can you imagine if we knew what we know now, we didn't know then? But we're going to fight still. We're not stop. Because we're confident in the victory of good over evil. We are confident in the victory of good over evil. Haile Selassie said that, and we accept that. Black people, what should them do with your mind, with your thinking? You know, Steve Biko will keep repeating it over and over. We'll not stop repeating it. Steve Biko, that great South African liberator, say, the greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. And that is really where the game there now. That is really where the war there. The war is where they call it brainwashing, like your brain's dirty, so they might wash it. And a whole heap we allow them to wash it because all we can think is we think in reverse. That is what we are doing. We are thinking in reverse. We're not moving forward. We're moving in reverse. So we give them the power. White people function off of power. And we know, and them said, Lord Acton said, power corrupt and absolute power corrupt absolutely. But we have to have power. We have to have power, just like them say power corrupt, it don't necessarily have to corrupt, just like what them say, the love of money is the root of all evil. Which part we they know? Which part we they know? When we look on the situation in America, we see the great icons. We have to say the great icons them because that is what the people them see in front of them. Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Ja Rule, 50 Cent, you name them. And we not condone what it is supposed or alleged to take place with these brother, but when we look on the list of men, white men, who get trapped into those things, pedophiles and, you know, women disgracing the woman, them and all them things there. Why is it that the men them who's white It's almost like them get a tap on the shoulder and them go business as usual. But when you look on the newspaper, when you look on the television, these black men who is supposed to have the same criminal record are charged for the same thing. It's most of the black men them you see it all over the place. Like the latest one now is R. Kelly. How the hell R. Kelly find himself in these things? Me remember Bill Cosby. But look on the guys them now, because we read the other day where them say 70% of the little youth them in Hollywood was get touched. 70% of the young actors when them just come in Hollywood as children, them get touched. And Kelvin Spacey him say them just accuse him that they have pedophile. And him a say, if him go down, the whole of Hollywood will go down. I threaten Hollywood. Him say, if him go down, the whole of Hollywood go down. Kevin Spacey. We look on a data where me love watch her, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock, she name? Yeah, Sandra Bullock. Pan Ellen DeGeneres, yes. I talk about what it's a weird thing, man. These people, it's some weird things. But it's like them get a pat on the shoulder and people will see it as something where I mean, where these people feel, I mean, we hear some things about Africa, you know. It's that hurt me about it, you know. We hear some things about Africa, and people say, them people, they're backwardy. Like you hear all people say, African man, if them have gonorrhea, them feel say if them have sex with a virgin, them will get rid of the gonorrhea. That is a topic all over the place. All in Jamaica, you have people who believe that. And we are saying, what kind of how people can believe them foo something there? And we were at the time and say, yeah man, and most black people think that. That is where the next argument, you know, is that it's most black people that think that. But when you look on the television and you see actors, people all up as icons, and like you see them every day on your television screen and you love how them act, and they are millionaires because of what them are do. And you see a woman sit down on the TV and I tell you, say, yes, you see, circumcision. Well, I say thing gross, it can't grow, so I'm not going to say it, you know, I'm not going to say it. First of all, them feel say, if you drink the blood of young, which is a thing going on in a whole heap of tribes. I can't tell how people say tribes. Because sometimes when you say tribe, it don't relate to Europe, you know. That is really the problem with saying tribe. When you say tribe, it come like white people not involved in tribe. Me go to Finland, go buck up on some tribe, and them people, they white like my teeth. And them talk about tribes. But we never usually hear about tribes relating to Europe. We hear about tribes relating to indigenous people of like Australia or Africa and places. Anyway, these people, I talk about Hollywood now. Hollywood. And I can play the tape, which I'm going to play it eventually. But Hollywood, there's a thing going on in Hollywood where them searching for the fountain of youth. Them want to be young continuously. So them have all sort of thinking where we feel them young. And one of the things is to drink the blood of young children. And them swear to it. Swear to it. And also, them use the circumcised, because all of them people are Jew, you know, are Jewish. What are them actors? All of them actors, they are Jew. And you know, most Jews are atheists. I am told that by Jews. And that's when I was told that by Jews, I went and see a box pop, Jews in Israel, who don't care a damn about this Jewish Yahweh and John and all these things. They don't care about that. Anyway, these people in Hollywood, and it's a big amount of people, because I tell you, say, I watch this thing for Ellen DeGenerate with Sandra Bullock, where them feel, say, the circumcised flesh of the child penis is a good antidote for youth when them put it on them face. You hear what me say? You don't believe what me say? I'm going to play it. Them use the flesh of the circumcised child as almost like a cosmetic. Cosmetic. I am sitting there and I watch Sandra Bullock as a woman who me love watch her movie there. She have one name box, something another box. I want the movie name box, some box. Anyway, that me I say about weird. How them talk about African, Aboriginal, Amerindian, Native American, how them talk about them like as some backward and civilized people. And these people is the epitome of what America is. These actors is epitome of what America is. And for them idea to stay beautiful is to use the circumcised. And them are swear by it too. I mean, I said no work, but me just say, if we reach this, so we have to avocado. we have to avocado and turmeric and all them stuff there. Then the day when them start use coconut oil, remember them tell us coconut oil and this and coconut oil and that. And it is like hip thing. It's a hip thing for you start to use coconut oil in your ear and on your skin and all them something there. And we don't use coconut oil for a long time, and them said don't use coconut oil because it will give you cholesterol and all them something there. And then them come down here, come wipe out the whole of the coconut tree them. And give you canola oil and all them, soya bean oil and all them something there. Vegetable oil, one of vegetable. Terrible, terrible. So, I am watching this thing and I ask about, wow. No, this is where it reach. This is where it reach. Because if them can now admit, say 70% of the children them will grow big now in Hollywood, 70% of them went under some pedophile, what them call it, baptism. It's almost like a baptism, a pedophile baptism. And them own is coming out now and saying, look here, if me go down, the whole of Hollywood will go down. And we see the whole heap of executives from television, from Hollywood, where them charge or them accuse them of child molestation or when the girls them the young rape them. But guess what? They are not criminalized. Them not criminalized. Like how we hear about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson say him can't understand why them saying these things about him. And when him looking at the mirror, he might say, a black man, him knows him black. They might say, oh, him bleach. Hey, why? May I tell you, science and technology is so beautiful that you can go back, go hear the voice of a dead person that talk about himself. That's one of the reasons why I don't really object to them whole heap of interview when I get from the other day. It's because I talk about myself in my own voice and don't wait till you pass, no hear people I said this and people I said that. And you never say that. So when you look on all YouTube, you know, say Muta did say this, and a Muta voice you hear. So I listen to all these people now, and I say, but wait. Michael Jackson supposed to be this pedophile. Him bleach him skin. And me I listen to some things about Michael Jackson, and you never believe say Michael Jackson. One time you wonder how Farrakhan Farrakhan hold up Michael Jackson and all them security around him, a black Muslim and all them something there. People talk some things because Michael Jackson reached the pinnacle of what them would have liked to be. So when they make you, them can break you. And then you have others. And one of the biggest one is Bill Cosby. Who no love Bill Cosby, Rasta? The Bill Cosby Show. One of the biggest things ever happened for black, what them call it, black solidarity and black family and usually it's a gang thing and yo and nigga and not like that, not in a Bill Cosby Show. And look where them carry him go. Look where them carry him go. And they in the newspaper, they in the TV, they in your face. He just a running on your face. So every day it a running on your face. It's a serious thing. You know, and we can mention others. We can mention others will come. Because America have a way of build you up there, so. And then when them realize say you get too big for your shoes to ride, they must have blop and let you go. Boof. You drop a ground. Just like when them do the leaders, when them feel say, when them call dictators. You're a dictator. You're not democratic. And you know the weirdest thing? Most of the people them who them try overthrow was there by popular vote. Most of the leaders them with them try, like the one now where them a talk about. Madura or whatever him name. Him win the election and the people them who oversee election say them not see nothing wrong with it. And them come impose somebody. One guy who used to live in America and study in American school and all them always find somebody like that for putting a power to say him you want in there. And them going to tell the people them in the country say, this man you have to rule you, that man you can't rule you, this man you have to rule you. Me I tell you, it's sad. It's sad. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM. Carl Burning Spear talking about brighten my vision so I can see. All I will need vision to see. You know them way there? So we're going to Pat Clark. We're going to Pat Clark with the Jamaica Roots and Culture feature. Here we go.
Welcome to Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark. Many people in the black diaspora are familiar with the poetry of internationally acclaimed Jamaican dub poet Mutabaruka. His poems have given voice to the oppressed and helped forge an entirely new genre of music, dub rhythm poetry. Revolutionary, fiery, scathing, and stinging, Mutabaruka's words are as potent on paper as on CD. And so the literary community needed to create a new term just for his works, Meta Dub. Mutabaruka was born Alan Hope on December 26, 1952 on Victoria Avenue, Kingston. He grew up in the Raytown and Jonestown communities with his mother. Muta attended the Wesley Primary School but unfortunately lost his dad at the tender age of 8. He would spend weekends with his grandmother where he would play with his cousins. They made kites and followed the Salvation Army marching band around the community. This made their weekends fun and fulfilling. On Saturdays, Muta would go with his grandmother to the Coronation Market where she sold ground provisions. On weekday evenings, his mom would take him with her to the movies. To this day, one of his favorite pastimes is watching movies. While still at the Wesley Primary School, Muta and a group of 6 students represented the school in the Jamaica Festival dancing competition where they did the quadrille dance. The group won a gold medal for their performance and went on to showcase their performance at the Agency for Public Information, now JIS. This marked Muta's initiation into stardom. After leaving primary school, Muta went on to the Kingston Technical High School, where he received training in electronics. In first form, one of his teachers, Miss Pusey, gave the class an assignment to write a poem. She asked Muta to stand and read his poem in class. She was delighted by what she heard and gave him a tick as a reward. This became one of the motivating forces behind his writing. As Mutabaruka matured, his writing became more extensive, and it was during this period that he wrote his most famous poems. He began submitting his poems for publication in the Swing magazine. Eventually, one was published and received rave reviews. Johnny Golding approached Muta and suggested he put a poem in the magazine monthly. Muta began researching other poets and took the name Mutabaruka from a Rwandan poet, Jean-Baptiste Mutabaruka. Mutabaruka means one who is always victorious. His quest includes being victorious in re-educating black people, especially those from a colonial past, so that they may regain the necessary confidence to empower themselves in order to excel. Mutabaruka's outspoken statements on theology and the oppressive roles played by religious institutions have generated much controversy. Although he is a non-smoker, Mutabaruka has campaigned for the decriminalization of ganja. In 2016, the government of Jamaica awarded Mutabaruka the Order of Distinction Commander Class, one of the highest distinctions in the country, in recognition for his cultural contribution. And now, to end Jamaican roots and culture, here's our famous black quotation. This poem shall speak of the wretched sea that washed ships to these shores, of mothers crying for their young, swallowed up by the sea. For Jamaican Roots and Culture, I'm Pat Clark.
Hey, Shane, me not joke with you, Rasta. Shane, you know, say, every week when me say me I go play Pat Clark, them have a topic written as when me I go play, so me can introduce it to a topic. You know, say, Shane deliberately not put no topic on the wire today, though. So me just play it. Hey, Shane, if I put topic on the thing, that I must know if I must play it or not, you know. Because I want to know me wouldn't play it. Maybe that's why I never put no topic on it. Because you know, say, if it's the topic, I wouldn't play it. It's it weird. If you're not going to listen to somebody talk about you, know, trust me. Yeah, anyway. That is part of the whole thing. So we are continuing this thing, you know. So here we are going to do now. We are going to play some ad. And we're going to play an analysis of why black men, and it is specifically a deal with the American situation, but it goes for everywhere. Why black men are how black men end up broke and trapped. How black men end up broke and trapped is an analysis of R. Kelly, and not only R. Kelly, but black men in general who America trap and them end up broke. So why take a while and listen to this thing, you know, because I think this brethren is one of the best analysis of what happened to black people in America when them reach the pinnacle of them stardom and then just fall down like a mango on a tree, like a breadfruit, just drop and splatter. So we'll come forward to that. Take a keen listen, because you know them really we play them things to make people have an insight, and also if you awaken them consciousness and them conscience. Okay, so we'll come forward to it. Why black men end up broke and trapped into that American system. Okay, this is the Cutting Edge on IRFM. So we'll talk about how when when black people do some terrible things in America, them bring it up more than when white people do the same things them. And we can't talk about the shooting them. When black people and brown people get off and shoot people, you hear so them is terrorists. But when white youth going at school or going at church and kill people, you hear so them need some psychological evaluation. No, that the place they're rough, you know. Yeah, man. White youth go in that place and shoot up the place. Kill the student them. Or a man stand up on a high building and just start fire shot in a concert. Them just hold them and say need some psychological evaluation. A black man shoot 2 men on the road, you hear say, boy, I'm a terrorist, criminal. You need to put him down. So, we say we will play this tape, yeah? We will play this thing, and why listen to it? Because I find it very interesting that the evaluation and where the man actually has a deal with as it relates to not only R. Kelly, but black people, black man in general, will find themselves trapped in a white world. Trapped in a white world.
Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio program, and I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to have you all with us here this evening. Got a few things I would like to discuss with you here, but something in particular I would like to deal with first. You know, it's been a momentous week, and there's been a lot to cover, and there's been a whole lot to cover. But, and to be totally honest with you, I really wanted to discuss something very different. I've been wanting to talk about this shooting that happened up there in Illinois last week. And things just keep coming up and whatnot. Kamala Harris, Jussie Smollett, so on and so forth. And eventually I would like to get around to that. I really would. But I just feel that at this time, it's more pertinent that I cover something else instead. As I was perusing around things and whatnot and looking them over, I couldn't help but notice this article from Rolling Stone magazine. And at this hour, at least at this hour, it, as of at least a couple hours ago, Robert R. Kelly, R&B sexual deviant extraordinaire, has found himself unable to make bail. He was arrested here Friday. His bail was set at $1 million. And for those of you who are not familiar how bail works, typically you have to get about 10 to 12% to give to a bondsman, unless you're going to pay the whole bail amount yourself. So, R. Kelly has been unable in the last 48 hours to be able to get together $100,000. He was unable to get together $100,000, even though he knew he was going to turn himself in. Even though he knew it, He knew he was going to turn himself in. He had hired an attorney. He walked into that jail and does not have $100,000 he can lay his hands on. Now, I got to tell you that most people in an upper middle class income bracket got at least $100,000 in savings. A lot of us have at least $100,000 in savings. R. Kelly has been cranking out platinum albums now for 2 decades and is unable to put his hands on $100,000 in cash. And it really begs the question of why. Really begs the question why. And there's a lesson that I want you to learn here, because I want to thread the needle from Michael Jackson to O.J. Simpson to Bill Cosby to R. Kelly to Ja Rule to 50 Cent. We can keep going. I want to thread the needle on that. And I am going to insist that people pay attention. If anybody wants to be a comedian in the chat room, I'd recommend that you don't. That's an easy way to vanish. I'm very serious about what I'm talking about tonight. Now, please remember, I was the original person back when it was unpopular. I was the guy saying that R. Kelly was guilty of all these things back before it was popular. Check my record. I've been doing it for over a decade. I was saying it back way before it was popular, when everybody else was telling me I was just hating. I was doing this over a decade ago. I didn't play around about it. So I'm not one of these people who's been one of these R. Kelly zombies. There's a lesson that I want you to learn. There's a lesson I want you to see about this. I want you to understand this. Because there's a method to the madness, and anybody watching this and listening to this, I want you to understand. Now, what I want to do here first is I want to read to you from this particular story in Rolling Stone magazine. Because here's a part that caught my attention. The story here by Daniel Krebs. Following a bail hearing Saturday, R. Kelly spent a second night in jail after the singer failed to pay the $100,000 needed to bond out prior to his trial. Kelly turned himself in to Chicago police Friday night after being charged with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. The singer remained behind bars that night, awaiting Saturday's bond hearing, with the judge handing down a $1 million bail. Kelly only needed to pay 10%, or $100,000, in order to be released. However, Kelly's attorney, Stephen Greenberg, told Media Saturday that the singer's finances, quote, were a mess, the Chicago Sun-Times reported. Quote, he's trying to get it together, Greenberg said, adding that Kelly has struggled for money since his record label dropped him. Quote, he's trying to get it together. He doesn't have it sitting in the bank, sitting in a shoebox, sitting anywhere. This is someone who should be wealthy, Greenberg said. I don't even think he owns the rights to I Believe I Can Fly. I'm quoting his attorney. This is someone who should be wealthy. I don't even think he owns the rights to I Believe I Can Fly. Kelly ultimately spent Saturday night in custody. Kelly had another opportunity to pay his bond Sunday morning at 9 a.m. However, as of late Sunday afternoon, that's now, Kelly was still in custody. His advisor, Don Russell, confirmed to Rolling Stone. The Cook County Sheriff's Office inmate database shows Kelly as still behind bars. His next court date is February 25th, when he'll reportedly be assigned a judge and enter a plea. In a press conference Saturday, State's Attorney Kim Foxx detailed the charges against Kelly, with the 10 counts drawn from his encounters with 4 women, 3 of whom were underage at the time. 2 of the alleged victims provided authorities with evidence that potentially contains Kelly's DNA, reportedly his semen. Now, there's a point to this that I want to make, because most people don't really know what they're talking about where this is concerned. Most people really have no idea. Don't really know what's happening about it. But what I want to do next is I want to go to CNN. CNN has a story that they're doing about this, or one that they've done about this here. CNN has one. And on their website, it says, R. Kelly fails to make bail. This is the headline. R. Kelly fails to make bail. Child support, overdue rent among his many money problems. The article at CNN says R. Kelly, one of the most successful R&B acts of all time, was still in jail Sunday afternoon after he failed to immediately produce the $100,000 in cash required to make bail. A judge in Chicago set Kelly's total bond at $1 million on Saturday, a day after he was indicted on 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse against 4 victims. Kelly's bond was set at $250,000 for each of the alleged victims in the case. To leave police custody, he's required to pay 10% of the total, or $100,000. Steve Greenberg, Kelly's attorney, told reporters after Saturday's bail hearing that he was, quote, very happy with the bond and it seemed fair and reasonable given the allegations. But Greenberg said his client, quote, really doesn't have any money at this point due to mismanagement, hangers-on, and bad deals. Let me read that again. R. Kelly's attorney says that his client, quote, really doesn't have any money at this point due to mismanagement, hangers-on, and bad deals. He added Kelly would ultimately be able to come up with the required $100,000. He's trying to get it together, Greenberg said. He doesn't have it sitting in the bank. Illinois does not have bail bondsmen, Greenberg pointed out. So for those of you who didn't know, Illinois does not have bail bondsmen. The next part of the article says singer owes thousands in unpaid child support. Kelly's money problems don't stop with his bail. According to court documents reviewed by CNN, Kelly owed more than $169,000 in unpaid child support to his ex-wife as of February 6th. The court ordered Kelly to make a monthly payment of $20,000 on January 8, 2009, but Kelly failed to show up for that hearing, as per court documents. To avoid being held in contempt of court, a judge ordered he pay $161,663 by March 6. Greenberg told CNN his client, quote, does not have to pay the child support before getting out. Quote, the state is trying to make him do that, or they were, Greenberg said, but the judge said no. Singer also faced eviction from his studio. Kelly also risked eviction at his Chicago studio last month because he owes more than $166,000 in unpaid rent. Court documents show a judge signed an eviction order in January. The documents show Robert Kelly needed to move out on or before January 21st, but Kelly was still at the studio minutes before he turned himself into police on Friday night. The eviction process began in July 2018 when the landlord, Midwest Commercial Funding LLC, said Kelly defaulted on the lease by initially failing to pay more than $79,000 in rent. The back rent continued to pile up, and the judge finally signed off on an eviction notice. Now, for a guy who's had decades of platinum albums, for a guy who's had decades of millions of dollars generated, the very next question that comes up is, where in the hell is the money? Because it's one thing if you don't pay the child support. That's one thing if you don't do that. It's scummy, but it's one thing if you don't do that. It's one thing if you don't pay the rent at the studio, although if you are still staying at the studio, I don't know why you're not paying the rent and still going to the studio. But brothers and sisters, when somebody puts you behind bars, we're going to find out if you actually got some money. Because nobody's going to stay in jail 1 second longer than they absolutely have to. So if he's in jail because he hasn't paid the $100,000, that's an issue. That's an issue. He's got enough money to pay his lawyer, but the retainer for the lawyer is far less than the bail that they're asking for. Notice his cutoff seems to be at that $100,000 mark. Probably half that amount. Probably half that amount. No, this ain't like 50 Cent. 50 Cent wasn't sitting behind bars pleading poverty. 50 Cent went to bankruptcy court to get away from judgments. Nobody held him in jail and said, you can't leave until you pay this. If he had the money to pay it, he'd be doing it. So let's just get past the garbage here. If he had the money to pay it, he'd be free right now. So I know for some of the slow kids and some of the ADHD kids listening, I know a lot of you are going to have a hard time keeping up. If he had $100,000, he would be paying it. So the next question becomes, what comes next? That's the next question, is what comes next? Well, I want to tell you how he got here. Because I was doing some investigation into it, and once again, we're going to Rolling Stone once again, and I saw this article. Now, I had seen this article previously before, but this article from Rolling Stone was something that I wanted to cover before. This was by Amy Wang back in January 2019. So a month ago, this article was done. R. Kelly hasn't really been dropped by anyone in music. Now, I'm going to skip forward here a little bit through the article because they talk about how he was dropped by Sony, RCA, and whatnot. But I want to skip forward a little bit here. And it says, though the details of the split between Kelly and his label have not come to light, a record company letting go of an artist typically just means it won't release music from them in the future. Yet both parties will continue to profit off of all past music releases as long as those releases are in distribution. It is unusual for splits to result in a label releasing the rights of a back catalog, which would cut off its revenue stream from that catalog, sources say. Quote, I don't know if anybody knows exactly what dropping R. Kelly means. Presumably, Sony and RCA will continue to distribute his back catalog, and the royalties will continue to flow as they were. Lisa Alter, a top music attorney who specializes in copyright law, tells Rolling Stone. Moreover, the split may have actually resulted in an unanticipated extra payout for Kelly. Quote, if the label had a contractual obligation to release additional material and didn't want to do it, it might make a financial settlement with the artist because otherwise they could be potentially sued by the artist for that loss of income, Alter says. The exact worth of those unreleased albums is a number negotiated between the two parties, and high-profile artists are rumored to have commanded payouts in the millions in the past. Now, here's the key part I want you to listen to.
Yeah, this is the cutting edge on RFM. We are going through the pieces of why black men always end up broke and trapped. And the brethren have got through the pieces. I don't just stop with the argument of R. Kelly. I'm talking about black people, black men, entertainers and sportsmen, and a whole heap of them end up broke. And even we look at the Jamaican situation where a whole heap of artists in a Jamaica end up broke too, with all the big hits and the touring and them thing there. End up broke. When them dead, them don't have no money, them family don't have no money to bury them. Them have to put up things in a paper, say, you know, put it in this account for help with the funeral of such and such an artist. It's a reality. It's a reality. And the reality, buck up R. Kelly, as we say, buck up Bill Cosby, and we now move and sidestep from them actions. We just say there's some almost conspiracy. And we don't really like to talk about conspiracy, but there's almost some conspiracy where white men in America is guilty of the same crimes, but them not as pronounced as when we hear man like Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and you name them. This is the cutting edge on RFM. The time is 12 o'clock.
Here's the setup. Here's the part I want you to remember. Kelly, indeed, had 2 albums left on his contract with RCA, according to Don Russell, an advisor and consultant for the artist, who tells Rolling Stone that several other record labels have said they're very interested in working with Kelly. Rolling Stone has not been able to independently verify these claims. Quote, "He's ready for the next level of life anyway. It makes sense for them to shake hands and say this train has run its course, and I wish you guys the best, and let's move on," Russell says. Asked if Kelly was planning any legal action against RCA and Sony, Russell added, "Our goal is not to go after anybody because he wants everybody to be happy." When approached about its relationship with R. Kelly, Universal Music Publishing Group. So Universal Music is R. Kelly's publisher, which, like RCA, has been home to the singer's catalog for decades on the publishing end. Universal Music tells Rolling Stone that it also no longer represents the singer. But to think that Universal Music Publishing Group has really severed ties with R. Kelly, as some reports have suggested over the weekend, would again be incorrect. While Universal Music Publishing Group may not publicly represent Kelly on his songwriting roster, the company is still responsible for distributing his past work, which totals some 681 songs, according to the list registered with BMI, one of the major U.S. performing rights organizations that collects licensing fees for songwriters. Universal Music Publishing Group, which has not responded to requests for comment on the matter, acquired Kelly's catalog in 2007 when its parent company, Universal Music Group, took over Zomba, the company that previously controlled the singer's copyrights. Quote, "Apparently, Universal Music Publishing Group has simply dropped R. Kelly insofar as his new, yet-to-be-created music is concerned. That is significantly different than the characterization of the relationship in the recent press," Alter says. Since UMPG continues to own R. Kelly's catalog of existing compositions, It will presumably continue to publish those compositions, profit from the exploitation of the works, and pay R. Kelly royalties pursuant to the underlying agreement. Well, I guess that clears things up now, doesn't it? For the ADHD kids, the Ritalin babies, and the crack pipe babies and lead pipe babies who want to pretend that they understand what's going on, that's the real state of R. Kelly's music catalog. Robert Kelly does not own his music catalog. Universal Music Publishing Group owns R. Kelly's music catalog.
You know, so I have to pause this a little, you know, because this thing has strike a chord with so much artists in Jamaica. I wonder how much artists and musicians listen to this conversation I saw with the version have. But here I know, you see your master, the masters, the master tape we are talking about, where you only put your tune pan originally. Because nowadays producers now put music pan on master again in them computer, pan a hard drive.
For that, they own it. And R. Kelly has to go to the mailbox and get a check. So if anybody was under the assumption or the illusion that R. Kelly is just swimming in the dough, now we understand that he made one of them slave deals. With this many albums down the line, that means he has never, do you understand? This means R. Kelly has never in the last 22, 23 years had the money to purchase his masters or publishing. He's never had the money. No, they didn't rob him. I'm so sick of this. I'm tired of dumb niggas saying stupid mess. None of these people ever got robbed. R. Kelly is a voluptuary with a taste for underage girls, fancy clothes, and fancy cars. And when he came into music, when they handed him the check, he didn't do an Ice Cube, he did an MC Hammer. He is not this savvy businessman. He is a prolific creator of cheap, cheesy music, and they've been juicing the hell out of him all over the place, and they knew he would never be able to get his rights back because he blew the damn bag as soon as they gave it to him. So 12 Play and 12 Play 2 and everything else after that. He has never saved up the money. He wouldn't be $160,000 behind on child support if he hadn't signed a slave deal. He's been blowing the bag for 25 years. Let's just call it for what it is. All the mistakes of black folk in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. No, he probably did read his contract on the way to Aaliyah's house. He was probably more concerned about getting to Aaliyah's house than he was about what the contract said, because they gave him enough money to impress these little high school girls. He was more concerned with that. Yes, Yeti Black, they paid him what he was willing to accept. Now, when you go in treating it like a business, you go in saying, wait a minute, this got to carry me for the rest of my days, and I want to get what I'm worth. He didn't get what he was worth. He got what he was willing to settle for. And here's the real thing. At no time since then has he demanded to renegotiate that contract. At no time has he done that. No, he doesn't own it. He's never owned it. He's made a bunch of videos, and I'm a flirt and this, that, and the other, but no wonder he perpetually stays on tour. No wonder R. Kelly is just perpetually on tour. And I will tell you something else. I don't think R. Kelly's really got a bank account to speak of. I don't think he does. I think that R. Kelly has been dealing in cash his entire adult life. It's all about cash. Everything he does is in cash. He's got very little as far as a bank account is concerned. He has had absolutely no financial advisement whatsoever. According to his own attorney, he is a victim of his own mismanagement. Groupies and bum niggas hanging off of him with him paying for entourages and making a bunch of bad deals. I'll tell you one bad deal: when you keep got paying off these mothers, single mothers of these underage gals that they keep pimping out to you, that gets expensive. That gets expensive very quickly. Now, I want to go a little bit further, and I want to demonstrate how it is that you can sit here and undermine yourself. And I say this tonight as a cautionary tale to all black people in general, but all black men in specific, since we are targeted by a system and they send out nothing but black women to go after Jussie Smollett and R. Kelly. So black men, understand the situation that you really are in. I want you to listen to exactly what they said here in an article from the Chicago Sun-Times. I want to go into what they said. Now, here's what they said about the case against him. And I want to make sure I've got this all together. It says, Robert Sylvester Kelly stared at the ground as Assistant State's Attorney Jennifer Gonzalez read off a proffer of the evidence against him in 4 separate cases, each involving a different victim, consisting of 10 counts of alleged sexual abuse that took place between 1998 and 2010. The first case Gonzalez outlined took place in 2003, with the victim identified as a 24-year-old hairdresser who went to Kelly's near North Side studio to braid his hair. When she arrived, now listen to the way they phrase this. When she arrived, Kelly walked in with his pants down and said he didn't want his hair braided, but he wanted a massage, and pointed to his penis, Gonzalez said. Now notice the article didn't say allegedly. With Jussie Smollett, the articles kept saying allegedly. With R. Kelly, I guess he's not gay enough. The articles don't say allegedly. I just want to remind you of that. For Jussie Smollett, everything is an alleged hoax. Alleged. As soon as you get somebody who ain't gay, all of a sudden it ain't alleged no more. With Bill Cosby, it wasn't alleged. Just thought I'd point that out. Kelly then tried to force the hairdresser, identified in court records by the initials LC, to give him oral sex. Kelly masturbated and ejaculated on the victim and spit on her, Gonzalez said. Her shirt was taken for DNA analysis and was a match for Kelly. So you're talking about, in this case here, this is 16 years ago. You all thought that Monica Lewinsky was nasty for holding on to that dress for a year. This chick has been holding on to this shirt with R. Kelly's semen. She's been holding on to this shirt now for 16 years. Do you understand that? 16 years she has had R. Kelly's shirt in a bag and been holding on to it. Now, if that don't sound like some scheming ass hood rat mama who's saying that this is going to be our retirement and our insurance policy, then what the hell is? No, let's just say it like it is. Your nasty ass hood rat mama said this is an insurance policy. You got his DNA, that's good. She pimped out her underage daughter, and hell, this is an insurance policy. Hold on to that shirt. This is an insurance policy, and we can say whatever we want to say It doesn't matter how old you were or anything. We'll hold on to this shirt and we can say whatever we want to say. Now he's got to prove it's not true. We can prove that he had sexual contact with you. He's going to have to prove that you weren't underage at the time. That's a hell of a spot to be in. The second case, comprising 4 counts of sexual abuse, involved a girl who said she met Kelly at her 16th birthday party. An associate of the singer allegedly passed the girl a card with Kelly's personal number on it and asked her to call Kelly. The girl's mother told Kelly's associate that the girl was only 16 and took the card. The girl's mother told Kelly's associate that the girl was only 16, so that means this 16-year-old girl's mammy was standing right there at the time. The girl's mother was standing right there, made sure that R. Kelly's associate knew that this girl was 16 years old, and then the mama said, I am her pimp, I mean her agent, I mean her mother. I will take the phone number. Give it here. I'll take it. My daughter is 16 years old. Don't hand his phone number to her. Hand the phone number to me. And understand, this is the state's attorney. This is them saying it. Saying that they acknowledge what the mother did. They go on to say, the girl later, this is what they allege, the girl later found the card in her mother's purse, called Kelly, and took a cab to his studio where the two had sex, Gonzalez said. Afterward, Kelly allegedly told her to get an envelope of cash from a receptionist, money the girl assumed was for her cab fare. The envelope contained a large sum of money. Now, I'm quoting Gonzalez now. The envelope contained a large sum of money, more than was needed to pay for 2 cab rides, Gonzalez said. So I don't know how much that means, but okay. That was the second, quote, victim and her upstanding mother. Her mother is such an upstanding citizen, and the state isn't talking about pressing any kind of charges there. The third victim, JP, met Kelly when she got his autograph as the singer headed into court during his 2008 trial. She was invited to the singer's Olympia Fields mansion, beginning a sexual relationship that spanned from 2009 through January 2010, according to Gonzalez, who said the victim provided a shirt with semen on it that a preliminary test matched to Kelly's DNA. So, brothers and sisters, this is the second one of these supposedly underage girls at the time who preserved the shirt, never washed it, and has been holding on to it now for a decade. Over a decade, she's been holding on to that shirt. And I said this a decade ago. These little gals and their nasty-ass mamas, this is part of a setup. Now, this is 2 chicks in a row who's supposedly underage and naive, and yet they've been holding on to R. Kelly's DNA on their shirts for over a decade. Over a decade. And you mean to tell me this is not the definition of a conspiracy? How does an underage kid sit up here and do that? You snuck out from your mom, but you made sure to hold on to the shirt and keep it for over a decade? Understand, you live in a system that will aid and abet you in targeting black men, and the females know it. Story goes on to say that story was identical to the account of a relationship Geronda Pace gave in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. JP, by the way. So the third victim, they gave the initials JP, but they're saying that story was identical to the account of a relationship Geronda Pace gave in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. Sure, we shouldn't call it scamming R. Kelly at this point. I digress. Pace, who said in the documentary she was 16 the first time she had sex with Kelly, was in the courtroom gallery Saturday. The fourth victim, whom Kelly's lawyers surmised was the same victim in Kelly's 2008 trial, was alleged filmed having sex with Kelly on a videotape obtained by a, quote, witness who was asked in 2001 by Kelly and his associates to locate sex tapes of the singer. The victim, RL, was identified on the tape by her aunt, Gonzalez said, which showed the pair having sex and the victim repeatedly saying she is 14 years old. Notably, prosecutors said the videotape referenced in the current charges was not the same one presented as evidence in Kelly's 2008 trial. Among Kelly's supporters seated in the court gallery were Azriel Clary and Jocelyn Savage, the two women living with the singer whose parents have claimed are being held against their will. Clary's parents have said they have had little to no contact with their daughter in the past 3 years. Sounds like you were great parents to me. If your daughter has had no contact with you in almost half a decade, yeah, you're parents of the year. And if your daughter is going off with R. Kelly, yeah, you're parents of the year, all right. Both women were initially seated one row in front of Clary's father, but later moved up a row and ignored his attempt to speak with his daughter. Speaking to the media after the hearing, high-profile attorney Michael Avenatti, high-profile ambulance chaser, who by the way, he should be worried about his own issues, by the way, who sat during the hearing with Clary's family, claimed Clary was, quote, shielded from Angelo and Alice Clary by Kelly's associates. Quote, now this is Avenatti, scumbag lawyer. Their daughter has been brainwashed by Mr. Kelly and his handlers. I think it's disgraceful that Mr. Kelly came here today. Okay, forget this jackass. So you're saying now, first we're brainwashing minors, now we can brainwash grown people? So grown people aren't able to make their own choices. But I want you to think about that for just a few moments here. I want you to think about that. No, I mean, understand something here. And by the way, technically it's not pedophilia, it's sex with underage girls. Pedophilia usually is defined by like the age of 12 and younger. But still, is it criminal? Yeah. Is it deviant as hell? Yeah. Does he deserve to go to jail? I think so. But I want you to take a look at this. Do you all realize in the exact same city of Chicago, we can't get them to charge the police when we can catch the crime on video? You have to take years to get that, and they got this done in weeks. The Chicago Police Department, if they want to find a suspect, they can find them. If they want to arrest a suspect, they can arrest them. And if they want to prosecute a suspect, they can prosecute them. If a police officer murders an unarmed black person and he's still walking the streets, it isn't because they need months and years to put together a case. They're not doing it because they don't want to prosecute the case. I submit to you, based on what we've seen so far, that Kim Foxx is the black face of white supremacy. And just like her white predecessors, she's able to get done what she wants to get done. She's able to make happen what she wants to make happen. And I want this to serve as a cautionary tale to all black people and specifically black men. I want this to serve as a cautionary tale. Because the reason that this kind of thing has been able to happen is because as a group, Because as a group, black men have not been doing nearly enough to protect themselves. I'm not here to say how to get away with murder. Shonda Rhimes has already made that into a television show. I'm not here to defend R. Kelly. I am here to say to black people, you live in a system that grinds black men into hamburger every day for crimes they did not commit. And you need to study the means by which they have selective outrage and they selectively apply the law so that you can understand what you need to do to lessen the likelihood of you being trapped up in it. First order of business is R. Kelly didn't have the right people around him. I'm talking about starting with his mom and his dad and his kinfolk. When you do not raise your sons to be wise, you raise your sons to be slaughtered. If you do not raise your sons to be wise, you have raised your sons to be slaughtered. And this man, after 2.5 decades in the music business, after making hundreds of millions of dollars for the white record companies, doesn't even own his own music catalog. Doesn't even own it. He doesn't even own his own music catalog. So even when he won the lottery and was able to have a hit album, what did he do? Understand something, brothers. It doesn't matter what age the girls are. I mean, it matters. But what I'm saying is right now, do you realize that everybody in this case could be lying on him? Everybody. It could be a situation where they were all over the age of 18. Now he's got to prove they were not underage. But do you realize this could happen to any of you? If you have sex with a female, if she runs off and, oh, I've got the DNA, he raped me. Doesn't matter what age. Take a look at Lieutenant Governor Fairfax of Virginia. Take a look at him. If those chicks had DNA, they would be swearing up and down that that's their proof that he had sex with them, that he raped them. So I want you to understand this. Black males have been raised by hoes for so long that you behave and act like hoes. Understand something. Having children is a benefit to women. It's not a direct benefit to men. You've got a social system that has direct benefits to women no matter what nasty circumstances under which she has children or under which she has sex. But for men, sexual contact can be used against you. So understand that. As men, if you're going to engage in casual sex, I'm not here to tell you under what circumstances you engage in it, but I am here to tell you that you can't just lay up with any random broad that come through. And R. Kelly has been acting like a male hood rat. He's been laying up with just any old chick who comes through. This chick is 16 years old. Your man done gave her mammy your card. I don't believe he gave it to the girl. I believe he gave it to the mother. However they got it. And next thing you know, she's on her way to your studio. Whoa. Whoa. No. I don't care how old they are. You don't just sit up here and give somebody your number and brothers, you can't do that anymore. Your fathers could do it and your grandfathers could do it because we had patriarchy. But today, American society is run by whorehouse rules. The courts are calibrated against black men to execute whorehouse rules. So they are going to make very, very sure. They're going to make very, very sure that if there's a way to twist this or corrupt this to catch you up, the white men are going to skate through. For white men, they're just going to say, they're going to find one of those state laws. Now, for those of you who don't know, and by the way, if you saw that Michael Bay movie, Transformers: Age of Extinction, oh yeah, I'm going there. You all can Google this. You can Google this. Michael Bay's Transformers: Age of Age of Extinction. And in this movie, Mark Wahlberg, his name was Cade Yeager in the movie, and he's got an underage daughter who is dating a fella who's 21 or 22? And when Wahlberg confronts this fella about dating his underage daughter, this fella sits up here and goes off on this legalese screed about it's not statutory rape and names the states that you can do it in. Don't believe me? Go watch the movie for yourself. $200 million film, made a bunch of movies, a bunch of money. Transformers: Age of Extinction. And by the way, there were articles written online. People found that to be very disturbing that Michael Bay would put that in a film. They found it extremely disturbing. Extremely disturbing that they would do that. And I want you to understand, in white society, yeah, you can do that. Don't believe me? Go look up Transformers: Age of Extinction. Yes, the Romeo, it's not Romeo and Juliet Act, it's Romeo and Juliet laws. So it's not Romeo and Juliet Act, because technically speaking, it's not called Romeo and Juliet. That's the common phrase for it, is Romeo and Juliet laws. But yes, these laws that will protect you if you're white, where they say it's consensual. Well, guess what? Apparently it applies to everybody except R. Kelly. It doesn't apply to him. R. Kelly's legal team should be looking into a Romeo and Juliet law. What I'm saying is, if you're going to say white men can't, you're going to make a whole damn $200 million movie and say that white males are protected by Romeo and Juliet laws, but black folk aren't. And by the way, before anybody even tries it, before anybody even tries to say, well, oh, Jason, that ain't right. You see, it's only if there's a certain number of years in age difference between the two of them. That is not what they've been saying for 20 years. That isn't what they've been saying. And that's not what they're saying now. They're one of the prosecutors was saying that they were trying to break, greater than 5 years in age. Thank you. Nobody's going after Woody Allen. There's greater than 5 years of age. No, when they were reading off the charges, I want to say Kim Fox was repeatedly saying that the case, she kept repeatedly saying greater than 5 years of age, or the other one was saying that, greater than 5 years of age. Okay, but that's not the basis upon which people have been making these allegations. That's not it. And by the way, when we talk about Ted Nugent or anybody else, nobody is sitting up here yelling about that. These are laws that only apply when it's a black male. These are laws that they only enforce when you're black. So don't give me the 5 years or greater thing in the Romeo and Juliet statutes. Don't give me that. But you live in a system of white supremacy. And I'm going to say something right now that may upset a lot of people, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that R. Kelly, I got to say right now, I said this a month ago, and I said it don't look good. And I said that if you can get the parents to go along with it this time, it don't look good. The only way out of it is if he can implicate the parents, and if the state refuses to do that or whatever, or if his attorney's not able to make that happen, it doesn't look good for him. But I've got to say something. I've got to say something. I have to. Robert R. Kelly may be getting ready to go to jail, and this is good. Oh, yes, I meant what I just said. This is good. This is good because as black men, we've been living in a damn fog. We've been walking through a damn dream world. Everybody and their damn mama is out to get us. Everybody and their damn auntie is setting us up. Everybody is trying to figure out how they can put us in a trick bag. If you're a black man with more than $50 to your name, everybody's trying to figure out how they can set you up. And it's about damn time that black men started to either wisen up or get buried. You're going to have to wisen up or get buried. Everybody is out to get us. And maybe if we see Bill Cosby go to jail and OJ go to jail and somebody you really care about or you from your generation you recognize R. Kelly go to jail and Chris Brown go to jail, maybe if they do this to enough prominent black men, then black men as a group will say, you know what? We need to start standing up for ourselves. We're all we got. Because literally everybody else is locking arms against us. Everybody else is squadding up against us. The females are squadding up against us. And black men as a group are not taking the threat seriously enough yet. So maybe if they arrest enough prominent black men and make it very clear that next to your Rolls Royce is a pair of handcuffs and an indictment, maybe the message will get through. Maybe we'll spend less time acting like the slutty hoes who raised you and realize you can't get away with what your mammy got away with. Your mama can sleep with underage boys and not get prosecuted. You can't do what you saw your mama do. Your mama can sleep with underage boys, or she can be an underage girl and sleep with grown men, and she's not going to get in trouble. You can't do that. You can't do that. And because you can't do that, maybe if there's enough time spent having enough people sit up here and go to prison for it, maybe if there are enough black men who all of a sudden they're knocking the cell phones out of your hands because they're putting handcuffs on you, maybe that'll make a point. Maybe they just haven't gotten enough yet. Maybe that's what's happened. Maybe there just haven't been enough gotten yet. And maybe if they grab a few more, maybe if we start seeing this type of headline jump up all the time, then we're going to find ourselves with a new set of priorities. Nobody should have to go to Chris Brown's damn house 3 and 4 times before he pulls a Sam Cooke or a Marvin Gaye and makes an album about what the hell is going on with his people and his brothers. I I said this after the Rihanna incident. Chris Brown should have been in jail like Tupac, writing what the next album was going to be. You mean to tell me you went in jail all that time and you came out and didn't have anything to say about the system that put you there? You got nothing to say? And yet Sam Cooke didn't have to be put in prison. Marvin Gaye didn't have to be put in prison. What's going on? A change gonna come. They didn't need that, but Chris Brown can go to jail. R. Kelly can be arrested all these times, ain't got a word to say about the system. Michael Jackson, you all remember Dom Snetton. Dom Snetton is a cold man. They don't give a damn about us. They don't really care about us. Michael Jackson didn't have to go to prison and go to court 15 times before he started telling people, hey, this is what's really going on. Michael Jackson was still young enough to be these fellas' peers. When they started coming after him, Michael went to the studio and said, if I'm going to make an album that's going to sell 3 million copies, then I'm going to be able to get something out of it. I'm going to make the case for myself. I'm going to make the case for it. What the hell good is it for you to have international acclaim if the only time they're going to acknowledge it is when they're going to sit up here and try to put you in jail for it? NWA didn't have to wait till they went to prison to say F the police. And we got these fellas here. You can be an icon and every damn thing else, and you can't make an album about this. This isn't the most important thing on your mind. You go to jail, you get arrested, and the next order of business for you is, well, man, let me start singing about chasing after these hoes. Let me do that. As if that's going to get you something. That's what you end up doing. As black men, everything they go in the studio, at least half that damn album should be talking about what they're going through. That's where you got the big microphone. That's where you got the biggest megaphone, and you don't have a priority on that. So maybe if we see enough of these fellas get locked up, maybe we will put this issue of the current state of anti-black male hatred coming from all sides, from within black society, black females, white society, non-black society. Maybe if we as black men, maybe if they arrest enough prominent black men, then things will change.
Jamaica, this is the Coaching Age on RFM. Yes, a very interesting analysis of R. Kelly, and not only just R. Kelly, but black man and musicians in general, you know what I mean? It's really heart-wrenching, especially when it's a weird thing. Sometimes you hear artists say producer thief them, but the producer not thief them. Sometimes you say artists never take the responsibility and be responsible enough to look about the business aspect of him business. And the producer take advantage of that and take advantage of your ignorance and just do what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, man. You can imagine me have my music or me produce my music and me get a record company my music for distribute. And if me want do something like how modern days I get now, me have my master, my 24-track tape or whatsoever, and me can take it and go do something else with it, and I'm my own. Terrible. So So that's supposed to be a lesson. It's supposed to be a lesson for a whole heap of ones out there. Here we go.